Here we are in position hold mode again. Looks like it's rock solid. It dropped some altitude because my AG01 gimbals, when I hold my radio, they kind of fall. But I think it's doing fantastic. Let's see if return to home works this time. So I went home and I adjusted the GPS so that it is 270 degrees flip. So that means that the wires are facing the back, like it's the way that I've always had it. And I recalibrated and I tested position hold in my backyard and it seemed to work. It seemed to know which way north was. When I rotated it to the right, it was facing east and then south and west. So it looked like the directions were fine. So I thought, well, maybe that was my fix. So I went back to the playground and I flew it around. It still flies really well. I think I can adjust the PIDs some, but I do not know what I'm doing. But as a quad that just flies around, I think it does fantastic. The 3-cell lithium-ion packs are pack that I have is getting old, but it's fun to just fly around. I really like how this Walksnail Avatar HD V3 looks. I think the picture quality is fantastic. It's the newer version, so it's supposed to be properly shielded. I don't notice any satellite degradation. Now the compass may be all messed up because I'm getting 29 or 30 satellites. It takes 10 seconds to arm. That little disc right there, that's the home spot. And if you notice, the home arrow is not facing the right direction, and I'm not going south. I happen to be flying east right now. The home arrow, again, is facing the complete wrong direction. Now, in between these tennis courts, I'm going south. And so I think that the compass is kind of getting it right. And then now I'm going west. And it thinks I'm still going south, or I don't even see the W on the compass. So there it comes. So there's no telling what's going on. I may have something misconfigured, but this is how I've always done it. I tested return to home on my wings yesterday. Kind of a scary moment, but it works perfectly. So here I'm getting really low. I'm going to turn it in position hold mode to see if it still maintains its position. And once I verified that, I hit return to home. And it looks like it's doing fine, a little aggressive. Looks like it's going back home, and then it just gets all kind of confused. And right before it goes in, I go ahead and take control and shake that off and then go do another lap. Again, the home arrow is nowhere near being right. I don't know if I need to shield the GPS and compass. I think that's always a good idea. I have the wires twisted. I've never had to shield them before. I really like going in between these tennis courts. Kind of gives me the Death Star run feel. And I'm still running all the stock Walksnail antennas. I think I'm going to try to upgrade them. So here I'm thinking maybe I'm going to initiate return to home on this side. I know I'm really close to home, but usually when I've tested this with Inav 2 or Inav version 3, it went ahead and climbed to the turn home altitude, and then it went ahead and flew back. When I tested this on Inav 5 or 6 on analog, it was more aggressive. And then here, I immediately switch out of it. So then I go ahead and bring it home, and glad that I did not have to do the walk of shame and pick up the quad.
"26 satellites. Heading 198. Pilot has control acro. Range 9. Bearing 56. Elevation 16. Voltage 11. 26 satellites. 27 satellites. Heading 177. Range 403. Bearing 277. Elevation 9. Voltage 11.2. 2 minutes. 26 satellites. 27 satellites. Heading 127. Range 387. Bearing 246. Elevation 26. Voltage 11.1. 27 satellites. 28 satellites. Heading 129. Range 180. Bearing 111. Elevation 13. Voltage 11. 29 satellites. Heading 178. Range 101. Bearing 290. Elevation 16. Voltage 11.1. 29 satellites. 3 minutes. 28 satellites. Heading 158. Range 518. Bearing 276. Elevation 3. Voltage 11. 29 satellites. 28 satellites. Heading 152. Range 347. Bearing 249. Elevation 16. Voltage 11. 29 satellites. 28 satellites. 29 satellites. Heading 162. Range 170. Bearing 130. Position hold. Elevation 9. Voltage 10.9. 29 satellites. 4 minutes. Return to home initiated. Heading 128. Range 127. Bearing 123. Pilot has control acro. Pilot has control. Elevation 16. Voltage 10.8. 29 satellites. Heading 146. Range 124. Bearing 164. Elevation 19. Voltage 10.9. 29 satellites. 30 satellites. Heading 138. Range 213. Bearing 292. Elevation 6. Voltage 11. 29 satellites. 5 minutes. 30 satellites. Heading 157. Range 534. Bearing 262. Elevation 13. Voltage 10.8. 29 satellites. 30 satellites. Heading 170. Range 223. Bearing 255. Elevation 9. Voltage 10.9. 30 satellites. Position hold. 29 satellites. Return to home initiated. Pilot has control acro. Pilot has control. Heading 220. Range 62. Bearing 283. Elevation 6. Voltage 10.8. 30 satellites. Landing 6 minutes. Pilot has control.